Thank you. Thank you.
I heard it and it's great.
Oh, I'm going to hide my background.
All right, and we've got 18 of our people so far.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, good evening. So nice to see you. Whew, it was awesome reading your stuff and watching the flip grids and looking at how you were doing your SWOT analysis. Amazing. Very, very cool. Good morning, Kim. How are our fifth graders that we don't get to see? They're doing well. Did they like Ratatouille, the movie? Perfect. Awesome.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Exactly. Who doesn't like Ratatouille? But anyway, thank you, because all of you really spent a lot of time sharing, and I really, really appreciate everybody doing comments to each other. They were thoughtful. You really honored people's voice, and it was just nice to watch that going on throughout the day. And thank you. I have commented to everybody that has posted. I think if I've missed a couple people, it's because it was in the last hour and I was in a meeting, so I apologize. But anyway, a warm welcome to day 2, and we're going to we're lucky because this is the day that you don't want to see this, you want to see this, is we have a perler. And as we wait for a few people to come in, this is the quote of the day, just something to think about. And if you want to share anything in the chat, just drop something. The 21st century will be dominated by 3 key technologies: biotechnology, nanotechnology, and artificial intelligence. As if artificial intelligence wasn't enough, that they have now 2 other ones. Anyway, that's just something to think about as we all navigate the world that is growing around us in an accelerated fashion. Today, we're going to talk about digital security. We're going to look at the landscape. We're going to look at behavior surplus and phishing. We're going to talk a bit about passwords, and then you're going to get to have a case study. And then we're going to tap into data privacy and regulation that is going to become really important in the context of AI, but also just generally, as school leaders, you need to be aware of data privacy and the regulations that you are responsible to abide by according to where you are geographically. But first of all, I want to welcome Beate, who's the head of mathematics at Canadian International School, Hong Kong, and is going to share her pearl of the day. So Beate, thank you.
Thank you, John. Hi, everyone. So I have a little story about the system that has changed at our school recently. So historically, the teacher evaluations were always done by administrators. That means principals and vice principals. But recently, department heads were asked to conduct the classroom visits and do some observations and give feedback to teachers. So that brought a little bit of anxiety on my side, because I was wondering, how am I gonna give feedback on professional growth to people who have been at school way longer than me? They've been considered esteemed experts within our school community. And this tool that I've learned from PTC, one of the workshops way back, became very, very handy. And that's non-judgmental feedback. So I did go to the classrooms, I did my observations, I used non-judgmental feedback to guide me how to write the evaluations. And I got positive feedback back on that from one of our senior teachers, that the whole process was seamless and painless, which was wonderful to hear. So that also built some, brought the trust within our team to a new level. So my pearl of wisdom is that use of non-judgmental feedback can be a transformative tool to build or enhance the trust within your teams. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful, thank you. And how lovely to get that feedback from a colleague after you've done it, really validating what you did. So Beata, thank you so much for that share out. That is fantastic and so important to get those pearls, because I think, as we navigate as educators, getting that guidance and advice is so helpful. That's why I love the pearl. I learn so much always. There's so
Well,
many
thank you,
things that
PTC,
happen
for
in a
the tool.
pearl. Exactly. And the thing about the pearl is so often you then go and try it yourself. So Beata, thank you again. And so appreciate it. And thank you to the other participants who have kindly offered to be our pearlers of the day. So let's give Beata one more round of applause. It's not always easy talking in front of an audience, and really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
And John, Stephen has his hand up, so I think he may have something to say.
Stephen, please.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, yeah, I agree. We use non-judgmental feedback in our school. Teachers visit each other 2 or 3 times each term, and it's you learn a lot, and it's great. I really like it.
Thank you, Stephen, for that input. Nice to hear that other people are also taking this methodology and approach. Thank you. Today, we're going to talk about cybersecurity. I call it digital security. And this is the one that most often I get pushback on. People like, oh, it's not my problem. I'm not the IT guy. That's their problem. Well, we're going to spend the day and reposition that thinking and really make some connections on why you're so important in this narrative. So we'll do a variety of different activities today. Feedback. Thank you very much. Your feedback is essential. There are some people said they don't like to do video recordings. We appreciate that discomfort, but it's really important as a school leader to be comfortable to stand in front of people and being able to talk. And you are in a course about leadership. So I think developing the comfort and the capacity to do that is really important. But you can always turn off the video and just do an audio recording. That is absolutely fine. Yes, Regina.
If I can say something, it's to be face to face with people and to talk in public is very easy. To talk to a camera, I found stupid, and then I hate my voice. And then it's not that I feel uncomfortable, but I feel ridiculous to talk to a camera.
Well, you don't sound ridiculous when you talk to the camera. I thought it was
No,
very
because I talk
poignant
to
when
you.
shared.
I talk to you.
Good.
Now I talk to
Talk
you.
to me. That's perfect. And it worked really well. But thank you for your feedback. The second thing is expectations. It's quite clear that it's a 3 to 4 hour expectations of work during the asynchronous. So just so I know, some people were like, well, there's a lot to do. That's a commitment that you've made. If you were in the face-to-face in person, you would be working as much, if not more. So that's just something to understand. Breakout rooms, thank you. I've extended all the breakout rooms today, and I'll keep doing that. People felt they were a little short, so thank you for that feedback. The recordings of each day are available as a link, and you can watch the whole recording again. Yesterday, and for the last 14 years that I've been doing that, people find it fast. They find it a little overwhelming. That is on purpose. It's meant to be fast and overwhelming because that's the world that we live in. So absolutely, I can appreciate and empathize. It was very fast paced, and it felt sometimes like, God, there's so much going on. What am I going to do? But that's part of the message. And now we're going to really take this apart each day, taking components of the bigger picture and really digging in at a very different pace. So, but I appreciate it. And it is overwhelming. Everything is going so fast. And sometimes it's hard. And as school leaders, we have so much to juggle and so many different points to engage with that can be tiring. And so I think also in a lot of people's personal goals, you talked about well-being, you talked about balance, making sure you find time for yourself. So nice to see that that's still part of your focus as you continue engaging with this course. Evening engagement, you have the PTC Leadership Foundational additional resources. Hopefully you had a chance to look at some. We're going to go into a breakout room, and it's your new group for the day. So you're going to have 8 minutes. You can reintroduce yourself, explain who you are, and then you can talk about what excited about what you engaged with yesterday. Either what you heard from your classmates' Flipgrid or anything that you engaged with, as I had shared, and what questions you have about the topic, perspective, or information, and why, about what happened yesterday. Maybe share some of your own musings. I think it'll be a nice opportunity to kind of align and get some thinking together to wrap up yesterday in today's breakout room. So this is really kind of an open-ended opportunity to touch base with your new cohort and also think about what you've heard and read from other people, or something that you did that you thought was engaging that you want people to know about. On that note, do we have any questions? If I can just have a thumbs up if we're in good shape. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a lovely conversation, and it'll be 8 minutes soon. Always nice to pop in and get to see some thoughts and reflections. Okay, I think we have a full house. Are we? Yes, okay, perfect. So we will begin our day. And I think humor is really important. So let's have a laugh.
So back to this this hack, this Equifax hack. I mentioned earlier, they may have compromised the information of 143 million Americans, which is a lot of Americans. So in light of this, as a service to the public, we've actually done this before, and it's very effective. We asked people who are passing by our theater today what password they use to protect their personal information. And pay attention, please, because there are a lot of important tips to be shared here.
We are talking to people about the cybersecurity breach at Equifax, and in light of that, we're asking people how secure their internet passwords are. What do you use for an internet password?
You know, I usually stick to my last name. That's probably not the best thing to do, but I usually stick to my last name, a few digits, maybe like a hashtag or something, or...
How do you spell your last name?
Walker.
Walker?
Yeah.
W-A-L-K-E-R?
Yeah.
And then just a few numbers?
Yeah, I probably should have told you that.
And then a hashtag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The numbers, like, what do you use, like your birthday or something, your area code?
Yeah, usually like my birthday.
How old are you?
21.
21? What day you born?
November. No, the day. Sorry, the 29th.
29th of November?
Yeah.
So Walker 11/29/95.
Woo! I probably shouldn't say that, but
That's okay.
yeah.
How strong is your internet password?
Strong.
What sort of things do you use?
Capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, characters, everything.
What's a current password you're using?
I don't really want to tell a current password that I'm using, to be honest.
You think I'm a hacker?
Not necessarily. Well, I mean, I guess, you know, like 63XJ9 hat symbol, at symbol, basically all characters, pretty random assortment, and I just try to memorize.
Do you use that one?
Yes.
Thank you. What is your internet password that you use for your email?
In and Out 2017.
That was easy.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
My internet password is capital W @TER capital B 0 NG waterbong.
Yeah, you probably could guess that one.
My internet password is okay.
Yeah.
Mila for what's MILA64.
Well, that's nice. Now Americans can hack into a Russian website. No, that'd be fun. Hello, sir. What is your name?
Jerry Reed,
Jerry, where are you from?
Whittier, California.
What do you do out there besides scare school children? How strong is your internet password?
I'd say pretty strong.
Yeah. What sort of things do you use for it?
You know, things that I like.
What sorts of things do you like?
Maybe a dog, an animal, a place I've been, someone I know.
So like Rover, mental ward.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, well, that's Jerry.
I think what we need to understand is that cybersecurity is more than a matter of IT. And I think so often we think it's an IT issue, but as you can see, there's no IT being used here and everybody's giving away their passwords. And this is really the human, we are the biggest threat to our own security so often. And I think when you think of the key principles of cybersecurity, there's really about managing the risks and understanding these and having these policies and practices, being able to actually implement security controls and knowing how to safeguard your data, understanding what are the potential threats, and also being able to create plans and really react to incidents. So you need to understand with cybersecurity, there are legal implications, there's reputation, there's, of course, the teaching and learning that's really important. There's the safeguarding of data and also financial security. And so often we don't think it's an issue in schools and we think it's mostly companies. But if you look at some of the research on data breaches in schools and international schools, actually 2 years ago, I had a participant and they had a ransomware for $20 million to their school. The school was shut down and they had to pay $20 million. And of course they didn't. They had actually the US government came involved and everything, but it paralyzed their schools for 7 days. And they had no IT security policy. And the school director was very candid and said this was a complete oversight by their leadership team. So I think we need to be mindful. I'm not here to scare you, but I think with the wisdom and the skill sets that you respectively have, we need to understand that cybersecurity is really important, especially because so much of what we do now is online. A lot of our records, our grading, our student information system, our cloud-based, all these things are online. And we can be a little lax because we think, oh, you know, we have a good wall around the school, we have security guards. Nobody needs to come into your school to hack your system. They could be 10,000 miles away. It's really about how you set those understandings up. So there are a variety of different ways that you can be compromised. Many of you are familiar with phishing. We're going to talk a bit about voice phishing this afternoon. There's spear phishing, there are DNS attacks. Social engineering is very likely the one that is most successful and that most often is the final way to get the information. So usually what you'll get is a triangulation of different data points, and then they will use that. So I have a case with a senior citizen that I've been working with. His daughter called him up. His granddaughter called him up from Barcelona and said that her backpack had been stolen and that could he send some money to Western Union. It was his daughter's voice, but it was an AI voice. Somebody had taken that off an Instagram reel, and basically he got 2,000 euros taken out of his pocket over the phone without ever being on a computer. So we do need to understand social engineering is a real issue. There's malware, ransomware, and then there are different ways that we can mitigate this through two-factor authentication, encryption, firewalls, and different software. So I think we're not, as school leaders, we don't need to be the experts, but we need to have a good grounded information, understand the concept, understand the ramifications, and make sure that the IT department is supported in a way that is proactive and can mitigate a lot of these issues. One of the creative tensions that you're going to face as a school is that your IT department is going to be very small. They're doing a million different things, and for them to always be up to date on the latest cybersecurity is quite challenging. But what schools do, and more schools are doing, you partner with a local cybersecurity service in your town or in the region that you are, and you create a 3-year contract. And what they do is they'll help customize security plans. They'll also do some professional development. They'll do fake attacks. to see what percentage of your faculty are aware of phishing emails or not. That's very effective. And then they'll give you percentages. And this is really a great exercise to do with faculty, and then share them the results. So say out of the 100 teachers in the school, 60 clicked on the phishing link, of which 25 had their personal mail compromised. One of the issues that we often face in schools is people mix personal with professional. So they put their tax documents or they do a lot of their personal admin using a school email. We had a case in the school that I was involved with where we had somebody searching on the internet for this address, and up came somebody's tax declaration with all their financial details. They, by mistake, had uploaded it to a website because they were sharing their computer. They were mixing their personal and professional, and they were uploading what they thought was a lesson plan to a grade 5 website. And instead they uploaded all their tax returns. And when this person was searching for this area of the city, that was the first hit that came up. So you do need to really prioritize cybersecurity. There's no way that most IT departments have the capacity or the knowledge, and that's no disrespect to the IT departments or the amazing people that work in those departments, but it's worth investing in the time and the efforts to work with a local provider. And there are many providers that work with organizations and have strong PD and some really good services that can support you. One of the things that we now have is, of course, we have AI. So it's a double-edged sword. AI really helps cybersecurity because you have much more powerful tools to mitigate and identify threats. But at the same time, that means those AI tools are also being used. And the most common thing that we're seeing now is phishing. So it's voice solicitation through AI voices. So right now in my region, we have a big thing going on where the police is calling people up and saying that their ID card has been stolen and that they need to SMS this number to get an appointment so their ID can be protected. And it's a voice solicitation through an AI. It has nothing to do with the police. But this has been, in the last 3 weeks here in this region where I live, a big, big issue, and that's been highlighted in the press. The other one is with QR codes. When you go to a parking, and in some countries you have QR codes and you can pay with a QR code, what they're doing is sticking another QR code on top of the QR code that's in a public space. So when you scan, then they're taking money out of your account and you think you've paid for the parking, or you think you've paid for the drink at the bar. So these are all things that we really need to be mindful of and understand the importance of having these conversations, you as a school leader being able to create the spaces and the professional development and getting the right people in the room to support this awareness. This also is important for students because they live in a world where they're using passwords and devices. And often people say, oh, you should never, young kids don't have passwords. I can guarantee you that many of the younger children in our schools have roadblock accounts and they're using passwords. So developing that disposition and that understanding of how online behaviors impact your life and can impact your data security is really important, in creating those age-appropriate, purposeful curriculums and learning opportunities, I think, is really essential, and that needs to be weaved into a school curriculum. So it's really about understanding what your personal information is, understanding password security, getting kids to understand about online scams and being critical and understanding the critical thinking needed, safe browsing practices, understanding to separate professional from personal, understanding how they can identify what is fraudulent and not, being very aware of their digital footprint, and we're going to talk a lot about that tomorrow. Privacy setting and controls. A lot of the softwares that they have excellent privacy settings, and really getting them to leverage this and working with parents, having this idea of a shared responsibility with parent workshops, faculty workshops, and students. All three stakeholders really working together to develop that awareness. There are some huge misconceptions The first is that cybersecurity is a technical issue. It's a whole school responsibility. Your IT department can have the best firewall, the best software, but if people's behavior doesn't engage with this, it doesn't matter what kind of firewall you have. I think strong passwords are a good thing, but it's also to realize that strong passwords don't always protect you from malware and phishing attacks. That's one of the many things. Schools often underestimate the risk, ignoring that their organization can be a target. Remember, if you think of the stakeholders, your parent community, they are paying money to go to school. They are of a very different economic group of people. They often are quite powerful. They have very powerful networks, professional learning networks. Getting their information can be really interesting to sell on the dark web. So being really mindful how that information is being used, how it's shared. Again, this idea that it's only for older students, I think we need to start much younger than often we're willing to agree, and understand that you can invest in all the expensive security guarantees and safeties, but human error can be the biggest vulnerability. And then often understanding when you allow personal devices into your ecosystem, you can introduce a variety of different risks, because suddenly you have a whole bunch of machines and devices that are not being monitored or controlled by your IT department, and they can almost act as rogue agents within the infrastructure. Phishing is easy to spot. Yes, it is, but it's getting more and more complicated, because as AI is being used, the logos and the language and a lot of these different components that make a phishing email are becoming much more sophisticated. So having that regular professional development is really important.
It started like any other morning.
It's just another day at the office. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Anything else?
It was a pretty typical job. I bought 10,000 credentials on the dark web. One of them was an executive. Jackpot.
I need access to all my data, whether I'm at the airport or on site with a client. The cloud is how I do my job.
I go where the money is. And these days, that means the cloud.
I know my network and endpoints inside and out, but the cloud is different.
I had no idea.
I had no idea that anything was happening.
First, I grabbed the data. Customer accounts, personnel records, IP. There's always a market for that kind of information. But the cloud was only the first step. From there, I spread to their endpoints, their network. Say hello to your new admin.
He moved on to desktops, our laptops, our servers, even mobile phones. By the time we realized what had happened, it was too late.
Genetics has been rattled this week. We're talking tons of sensitive accounts have been compromised, causing investor panic. As Biden's stock prices continue to fall.
Years of client-less contacts research. Who knows what else they got?
I do this for the money. I'm in and I'm out, and I don't look back.
We're a cloud-first company. Our security needs to go where our users are.
A few organizations get cloud security, but most don't. So for now, my business is good.
So I think what we need to understand, and this is quite dramatic, of course, it's an ad, but I think we need to understand as we move to the cloud, and thinking of Microsoft Teams, Google Workspace for Education, your Veracross, your PowerSchool, your iSIMS are cloud-based. A lot of things that we do in the cloud, our data is being held in the cloud. The cybersecurities are the same everywhere, and I think it's really understanding the risk management. So as school leaders, the issue that you need to be engaging with is what are the risk management opportunities and mitigations that you as a community have to engage with? And what are you going to do regarding the training, also understanding the vulnerabilities that you have, being very agile and reactive to any incidents. Understanding this as a circle of different points that you have to manage. Now, you don't need to do all the work. I am not saying that school leaders need to become cybersecurity executives or cybersecurity experts, but you need to be the gatekeeper, and you need to be the mentor, the model, the person that is leading this and highlighting its importance, because as a school leader, you have a very important voice, and it can really make a difference if you're modeling this idea of cybersecurity, really being mindful, separating professional from personal, logging out of machines, making sure that we're engaging kids to think about their cybersecurity at a young age, that you repeatedly engage with this over the year with targeted, purposeful, short professional development, and understanding that all this data that's flying around, Excel sheets with kids' grades or learning support reports that are left on tables or that are emailed to a whole bunch of people and then forwarded to another group of people. Understanding all that is really the user education and awareness. That is the big responsibility that I think school leaders have to engage with. And I think it's really important to create the spaces and finding the time. Now, what school leaders can do is really leverage their IT department and also outside resources. Often your board of trustees, they're people that have a lot of experience with that. When you're doing your risk registers, really tapping into your professional learning network resources and local sources and local resources. It's really important today to actually even think of having a clear budget over a period of time to ensure you can have this service of an outside cybersecurity company to help you manage and monitor all these different things, because we're quite lax sometimes with our Wi-Fi, and it's just good to have that partner to really help you. And you as a school leader is really, you're curating, choreographing, you're corralling different people together and really creating this environment where there's a culture of awareness and a culture of education. So what you're going to do is you're going to have these two infographics that I've just shared. And if you have the breakout room prompts, you should have them. Hopefully you've downloaded them. You're going to look at those infographics and what key principles of focus areas from the two infographics connect with your role in school. So what have you heard? And those two infographics that you're going to look at, which one really connects with your role in school? Where do you think you have a responsibility, or engaging with that makes it actually logical? It's purposeful for you to have an interest and to really amplify that as part of your leadership capacity. And what do you think are school leaders' responsibility, workflows, and support and understanding to ensure that there is good cybersecurity in the school? How do you think, in your context that you are, and within the role that you have or the role that you're going into as a school leader, where do you fit in? And how would you add to this? What could you bring to that conversation? What actions maybe could you engage with to support this stakeholder group community understanding of the importance of cybersecurity, not only as an awareness, but actually creating actions where people are learning and training themselves and much more aware of the potential risks? Welcome back. Always nice to jump in, and it was interesting, definitely the theme about what privileges you give to your drives and your student information system. That's definitely important, and nice to see that people in the room that are school leaders are having those conversations and understanding that your voice is very important. Any share outs? A couple people want to share out? Anything that maybe you learned that you didn't know, or something that resonated with somebody else, what they said?
Well, I think in our group we were talking about collaboration that is important in between administrator and people who are actually good in tech and then are there for technology. Analyze the risk. I think that is our job to do that together, and make sure that the student information are protected and control who has access and to sensitive information. And also, I think that we have the tendency, and I said that as or everybody, I will have the tendency myself also to say, well, I prefer to prioritize the curriculum, give more resources, than to go to technology and security, up to the point that one day it happens, and then you get stuck because you have all your system that is blocked, and then you realize that you made a mistake. But that it's you talk about $20 million earlier to a school. I'm sure that for 7 days to be paralyzed, it's a nightmare for a school.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think the key word that I get from your share out is the idea of collaboration, working with your IT team and the leadership team, that collaboration, that teams, and you bring the expertise of the pedagogy, you understand what a school day looks like. Some of your IT people might not really understand what a classroom looks like, what does it look like during exam week, and really having that shared understanding and leveraging each other's expertise, I think, can be really powerful. So thank you for bringing that up. Any other comments or share outs? Yes, Liam.
Thanks, John. I was just listening to something that Tom said right at the end, which really resonated with me. And he was mentioning something about his culture, his context, where people are just sharing numbers because it's the same language, or we always do this all the time. And that sort of brought home to me the cultural aspect as well in which you're living, right? Not just the laws of the country or an international school culture, but just really having that intercultural awareness of how some people might view this, if it's a Western problem, an Eastern problem, but it really is a global problem. And that also ties in what we do as international educators. So I just want to shout out to Tom there. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, Tom and Liam, thank you for highlighting that. I think with everything that we're doing over the week, the cultural context, the regional, geopolitical, environmental, all those different factors, when we looked at the hierarchy, we looked at those three forces, the principals, the stakeholders, and then the leadership team, the board, and then your external, and they all come together. So that's so important. And different opinions on cybersecurity, definitely. And, I know we've had issues even in our primary school, where some of our children from Russia are always said, "Oh, you're a hacker," and it's just, those kind of just very naive, narrow-minded reactions, which basically are verging on racism or racist in many ways. So also understanding the context, I think, is important. So thank you very much, Tom, and then Liam, for sharing that out with the larger group. Appreciate that. So one of the things that we know, and one of the things that's really important we talked about, is this idea of surveillance capitalism in our behavior surplus. And this is really a minefield, not only for companies that are generating profits, but also for actors that maybe are not so positive. So that idea. So here you can see is my web browser and all the different companies that are tracking me. So you can see that I'm at CNN, I'm on the New York Times, and every little triangle is a third-party company And I have made an agreement with CNN when I agree to their terms and conditions that basically tells me that I can that they can share this with whoever they want. So this was actually in 2019. I went to 19 sites and there were 315 companies following me. So your personal information is kind of important. And just the fact that, I don't even know if any of these guys are bad actors. I have no idea who these people are. But I made an agreement with the New York Times and CNN and Google that this is something that I agree to.
I don't know if there's volume.
We can't hear anything.
No
Can't
sound.
hear.
John.
Sorry.
I don't know why we can't hear this one, but we did hear the other two.
Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, let's undo and share again. My apologies.
Oh, hi, can I help?
Hot chocolate.
What's the name?
Joelle.
What was the name?
Alex.
Alex. There you go, Johnny.
Cheers.
If you like our Facebook page, we give you a free hot drink and a free pastry.
We have a new like for Damien. We have a new like for Damien.
Hey, Carly, are you standing by?
Standing by. Hi there, can I help?
Yeah, I just liked your Facebook page.
Okay, I'll search Facebook
I'm
now.
searching Google.
Have a phone number.
I've got his email address.
Okay, Carly, are you ready for information on Damien?
Yep, I am.
Mother's maiden name is he banks with
Carly, this is Nicole coming in now with the blue scarf.
What's the name? Nicholas.
Nicholas. His date of birth, 7th of May. She lives at 38A.
Just be a couple of seconds.
2 children, age 4 and 6. Previous address. She's got the postcode.
Yep, got it. Damien, age 26 and a fitness instructor.
How do you know that?
Brody, who goes to UCL. Martin, who went to South Thames College. Assistant psychologist at Great Ormond Street. How did you know?
That is... I don't really understand.
Huh? Pardon?
You know I'm a Christian as well.
Oh, yeah, we know everything about you, Martin. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Anna from Russia.
So I think this is these videos are a nice way to kind of provoke those conversations, and definitely using this with children can be really a nice way to highlight the importance of digital footprint. We're going to do a little exercise here. You're going to actually I'm going to share a bunch of phishing emails, and you're going to see how good you are at identifying them. So as a school leader, securing email communication can be really important. One thing that we had the unfortunate experience not too long ago, our school leader was at an airport with a school laptop going on a recruitment fair, and they were using the free Wi-Fi at the airport, and the machine got hacked. One thing we need to understand: when you are at hotels or anywhere where there's free Wi-Fi, it is not safe. So really, what can you do to encrypt your emails? And if you're working with Outlook or Google, there are a lot of different ways to do this, using strong passwords, two-step verification. So when you log into your school system, you not only have a password, but you also have a two-step verification. So this can be really some important things. And I heard some of you already starting to do that, which is great. The common flaws is that people tend to follow orders from perceived authority figures. We're very curious. Often we're kind of unaware sometimes of things. We can be distracted if we have a lot of emails and we're trying to power through them. We might inadvertently click on a link. We always want to help. And also sometimes we just need that attention and approval. So humans are often the weakest point. with cybersecurity. You're very likely familiar. There's phishing emails, there's spear phishing, which are more targeted for individuals, and you're going to do an activity on voice phishing this afternoon. So in the breakout room, what you're going to do is you're going to go to this quiz here, and you're going to take the quiz. One of you can do it. You need to write your name and your email. This is so you can get the results. And you're going to try the activity by doing the different questions and identifying if it's a phishing email or not. And then you're going to start developing amongst your group, what are the common tactics and patterns that you're noticing when you're doing these phishing emails? And then why might this be important to do such an exercise with your own faculty? So before we go into that, any questions? So this actually, Google, Microsoft, a lot of these tech companies have some fantastic resources. So if you don't want to hire a third-party company, they have a lot of great lessons and resources and videos. So there's a lot out there. And, you know, if you have digital learning coaches and tech integrationists leveraging their capacity to kind of support your own teams with this can be really a nice way of doing it. So you get to kind of see how good you're at identifying phishing emails. We'll see in about 10 minutes.
So ready when you are, John.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you got to play around with this activity and get a little feeling how good you're at phishing. I just think, as you know, Kim highlighted, is this idea, as school leaders, you're in the forefront of creating the culture of security, while the IT department handles the technical aspects. I think it's really important that, you know, you create this shared culture of responsibility, and your leadership voice and modeling really ensure that cybersecurity is a priority for all. And I think, again, as we discussed, is this shared responsibility and this idea of shared leadership. What we're going to do is transition to a case study, but I just want to quickly understand you know, make sure, and I think all of you know this, is just the importance of good, strong passwords. And I know the first video was funny, but really helping people understand what a good password is and giving them tools, because often people feel, oh, there's so many passwords that we have to use, I don't remember them. Really giving them some tools and some strategies on how to remember all these passwords. So they're password managers. A lot of schools have their own password manager. It's called Bitwarden, where every time you have a password, you can save it in this space. And then when you're out off school and trying to get a school thing, you use your fingerprint and then you can access the password. Those are some things to consider. I mean, you know, we know that we have to avoid personal information, obvious patterns, the length and complexity are really important. And then just understanding, how are you supporting staff and faculty in managing those passwords? What are some tools? What are some strategies? What are some digital platforms that you can implement to make sure people have access? And especially when you're outside of school, what are you doing to add that layer? And really working with your IT department. Maybe you're not the one doing the nitty gritty, but you're asking those questions and saying, what are we doing to make things secure? How do we know that works? Those kind of questions can be really important. If you've never used this, I've Been Pawned is a great feature. What you do is you put your email address and you hit pawned, and it will tell you all where your email address has ended up on the dark web and what organizations that you have an email account with that have maybe been hacked. And then it'll give you some tips on how to change your password or secure your information. This is done on a voluntary basis by one of Microsoft's head of security. It's really a very cool tool, and I often have done this with students, and they find it really interesting and something to help them also get the idea of digital footprint and password security. Of course, we know about viruses and malware. It's so important to do your regular software updates, have that training, and have those robust security measures. But really, understand how damaging these things can be and recognizing what those threats are, and then leveraging your IT department and the resources you have to ensure those updates, have that security training, and have those robust security measures.
John,
Yep.
I think Steve has his hand up.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't see the hands. I don't
Yeah.
know why. So thank you, Steve.
Yeah, I while we're on the topic, I had a thought and I had a follow-up question for you, John, while we're kind of in this realm right now. My thought was a lot of the things that we use at school sometimes aren't as secure as we think they are. So for example, in my role, I learned a couple of years ago that so we distribute the PSAT to 9th through 12th graders, and we do it every year. And then a lot of times the students will get, emails from universities and test prep companies and you know, third party vendors after they take the PSAT. And what I've learned is that College Board, who distributes the PSAT, actually will sell those students information to those third party vendors for a nickel each or something like that. And it got me thinking just now, what are your thoughts about recently, we at our school, we started moving away from putting sensitive information into Google Docs because we're a Google school, and we're starting to feel a little uneasy about putting sensitive information into Google Docs. So I just wanted to kind of like, while we're in this realm right now, get your thoughts on school systems and how secure school systems are.
So first of all, on the PSAT, you signed an agreement with that, and in that agreement, it legally stated that they were going to sell that information to third party. So that nobody does this without a legal agreement. So do look at the user agreement and the contract very closely. Somebody ticked the box that said they read the agreement, and in the agreement, deep down was that we will sell this information to third party. So that is not the company's issue. That is the person that signed the contract and agreed to the contract not doing due diligence to look at what they're doing with the information. I always say to people, Google has more security than most of the student information systems that you buy. So generally, Google is very safe. You can have two-factor authentication. You can encrypt things. So I would caution you to go to your student information system. Veracross and PowerSchool don't have the resources or the expertise or the technical knowledge that Google does. But most of these companies spend a lot of time on IT security because it's their bread and butter. The last thing they want is to have a reputation that this information is leaking out. So that would be my response to those two questions. I hope that's helpful.
That is. Thanks, John.
Okay, let's keep going. And thank you for your question. I appreciate that. So two-step verification, I think Clinton was talking about that. It's like, so in my school, when I leave school, I can't access anything from school without a two-step verification. So when I log in, I have to go to my Authenticator app and log in. Anything I do once I leave out of school. And in school, if I'm not on the secure Wi-Fi, I'm on a guest Wi-Fi or on the 4G, then I have to do the two-step verification. And the technology is much easier nowadays, but that's something definitely, if you're not having that in your school, you need to have that conversation with your IT department. And they're going to say it's really complicated, blah, blah, blah. It isn't. It's just a matter of getting the professional development and tapping into the resources that are available or getting some expertise to coach them through it. So we have two case studies. One has to do with adults and one has to do with students. So I'm going to let you read the first one.
And John, they also have them in the link that
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
then this is the other one. Okay, so what you're going to do is I'm going to assign you a case study. So group 1, you're going to do case study 1. Group 2, you're going to do case study 2. Group 3, you're going to do case study 1. Group 4, case study 2. Group 5, case study 1. Group 6, case study 2. Yeah, you have them as PDFs. You're going to get 10 minutes, 12 minutes to kind of just talk about it. Think about what would you do. You might not be able to do everything. Maybe just pick one aspect that makes sense, that you feel you have some expertise, or that if you were in this situation, your role would have to address that, and see what you come up with. Yeah. These 2 case studies are not made up. I've just changed them as no names or no school, etc. But these are 2 things that have happened in the last 18 months. Yeah. I was just saying that to one of the groups, as school leaders, you have so much going on. Your day is so busy. Your head is so full of a million things that you have to deal with. Your levels of anxiety and stress are a roller coaster. Then adding this layer of digital security, all these layers that we're adding makes it that much more complex. I know that talking to school leaders that were school leaders 30, 40 years ago, and school leaders today, the job has become so much more complex, so much more demanding, and so much more draining in the sense of the energy and the emotion that is required. You're trying to help everybody, and everybody needs you, and you have to be the answer to everything. It's quite challenging, and to layer this, I appreciate how that is challenging. So, to continue our wonderful journey, one thing that we're just going to wrap up is general data protection. So many of you very likely have, if you're anywhere in Europe, you've been dealing with general data protection, which is basically the rules about data privacy and protection in the European Union. But if you are in Singapore and you have European citizens, you would have to abide by the GDPR for those individuals because they're part of Europe. So these are really important things to be aware of. Many schools have what you call a data protection officer or have a data committee, but a lot of schools have had to invest a lot of time and money with this. In other countries, you have a lot of other similar type of things. In California, they've adopted something like the data protection, same in Canada, in Japan, you have this in South Korea. Those are the ones that I'm most familiar with, but I'm sure many of you in your countries, data protection has become a really important thing. It's the idea of the school's responsibility to protect the data of the students, to be compliant with the regulations, and ensure that you're providing the professional development, that people are informed about their responsibilities, giving that online training and that ongoing training, and then also creating that culture of trust and reputation to the parents that they know when they give their money or that very sensitive data from the psychiatrist or whoever it might be, they know it's secure and that you're right in the front to ensure that data protection is at the center of what you do. Understanding the allocation of resources, keeping up with the regulations, that often is why you get a data protection officer, or you might even hire a law firm or some expert to kind of let you navigate and understand what are the changes and what are your responsibilities. And also creating the safeguards with infrastructure to make sure that you have the robust cybersecurity. And then also understanding that privacy is an important thing. Inconsistencies in practices and attitudes can really be detriment to the school's reputation and what the school potentially would have to mitigate. Of course, you need to do this with students, understanding awareness because their personal information, they have rights as children. GDPR is super strict about children data, images, and voice. So really understanding that, modeling good practice. When your teachers leave their machine, make sure they log out, getting that habit, understanding that they're password managers and how can you securely communicate, letting kids understand that, understanding rules about privacy and guidelines regarding personal devices and sharing data, and really encouraging kids to understand the impact of their digital content and the importance of protecting that information. So these are all things that have to be weaved in as in the context that you're in, within the learning pathways that you engage with, in the way that is appropriate and authentic and purposeful for what you want to do. What I'd like you to do in the Zoom chat is think about today. I used to think cybersecurity was, now I think it is. And just take a few minutes to think about what do you used to think and now you think. Just in the chat, gut feeling, just initial reaction. I used to think this and now I think that. So just type it in the chat.
And John, can you see the chat now, or do you want me to share a few as they come out?
I see it. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah. Great responses. Yeah, I love it. Yes, it's boring, but now it's important. I do like that. I've seen so many leadership team members roll their eyes when the IT department starts talking about passwords. They're like, oh, here we go again. And a lot of these, wonderful IT folk are really passionate about it, and it's really important. And they often don't understand why you don't think it's important. Great. Complexity, adaptability, shared responsibility. A strategic plan, that's great. Risk management is really important. The idea of collaboration between all departments. It can have an impact outside, yes. Data mapping, excellent, wonderful, some great reflections on this. And the fact is, you're not alone and you can't do this alone. Don't suddenly say, oh, this is my responsibility. But what it is, it's a shared responsibility. And I definitely see that's what's coming out of today, and your own reflections and the work that you've done in your groups is realizing all need to be involved. So thank you for coming to that shared understanding. I really think that's wonderful and appreciated. So today is another wonderful day where we get Kim to share something from the trenches, and then I'll come back to this thing. So over to the trenches. Kim. And you're muted, like me.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just turning on my screen recording. Yeah, so in looking through all of this content from today, we've talked about a lot of these issues, but I have to let you know, this is a day-to-day issue as a teacher. And if teachers aren't aware of those learning opportunities, they're going to miss them. I have kids who are signing up for ChatGPT and they are 10. I have kids who think Kahoot is cool and they want to make all their own. So they sign up for their Kahoot, and the only email they have is the one they got from school. And it's happening every day. So this can't come just from an ed tech who does a digital citizenship lesson once a month. Teachers need to be prepared for those learning opportunities when they come up, and have the knowledge to identify them and know how to have those conversations with kids. And I think the most valuable thing you can do as leaders is to support not only the ed tech in terms of that curriculum and pushing that message through planning meetings, through making it a priority, sharing out at staff meetings, using multiple voices. So it's not always coming from the scary IT people, but it's coming from leadership. It's coming from the ed tech. It's coming from teachers saying, hey, I had this great lesson with my kids this week, or this thing came up. This is how I dealt with it. So there's multiple voices in that approach that help to spread that message. So it becomes part of the furniture. Our photo permissions at the beginning, this took years for teachers to actually embed this. And so it's now part of the furniture. It's part of their narrative. They know it, but it took years to have those conversations over and over again, to realize that you can't just go sharing out photos all over the place. For parents to understand it as well, we say it at every single event, every single assembly, please only share these within our own school community. So that constant messaging coming from multiple voices is so important. And again, it's every single day. There's something that happens where I'm reminding students that this is their privacy that they're giving away. This is their data. This is how they should or shouldn't be using that information. This is what they can and can't sign up for. And having a good partnership then as well with our data protection officers, we actually had them come down and talk to the whole class about this significant data breach of signing up for Kahoot with your BIS email address. And we scared the pants off them, and I think it was a good idea. So again, a day-to-day issue that we all need leadership support on. And if you're aware of it, you can then be having those conversations with teachers, with students, because you have a seat at the table.
Thank you very much, Kim. And it's so important. That seat at the table is such a powerful way to engage on these topics with your voice, because people will listen to you. What I want to do is, if you are interested, we are going to have a deep dive today at from 4 to 5 CET, which is Central Eastern European time. If you go to the Learn Worlds, if I go to the Learn Worlds in the daily message, you will see that there is a link to this form, and you can fill this up and say that you want to attend. So I will do it. If one person shows up, I will have the deep dive. And basically, in the form, it asks you, are there any hot topics that you want to talk about? If not, I have a provocation, and then we can have an hour just to have an open conversation and really have some dialogue, but deep dive into something from the last 2 days that you think you'd like to unpack further. You're all welcome to join. It's from 16 to 1700. Once you complete the form, I will send you a Google Calendar invitation with the link to the Zoom with the password. So
and John, that's for tomorrow, right?
That's for tomorrow. Exactly. That's for tomorrow, Wednesday, the 26th. So I'm just asking you to fill up today so I can make sure I get the invite in a good amount of time. Also, with Learn Worlds, I just want to go through just to make sure. So in regards to activities, so you have the key learnings. So you will always get to see the key learnings from the day before. And here, your first activity is you're going to watch a Vision call, somebody calling somebody else. And then I have put some videos, and you're going to do a Think, Puzzle, Explore on either the 3 articles, one of the 3 articles, or one of the 3 videos. And that's one of the activities. Then practicing your skill, you're going to do a cybersecurity audit. So what you're going to do is there's an audit. You're going to try to see through the audit which questions you could answer. It's not a test. You're just going to think, how many of these are we doing, not doing, I could answer. And then you're going to share to your leadership team a 2-minute flip grid on what 2 areas you think your school needs to address and educate staff with cybersecurity. So the cybersecurity audit is an opportunity to kind of think, what do you know about cybersecurity in the context of your school? What do you know you're doing? And then based on that, you might decide, you know, if I'm the leader, these are 2 things that we need to focus on, sharing that with the rest of the leadership team. And then go deeper, you have, of course, again, 8 different resources, and you're going to use a protocol called claim support question and use the discussion board here to ask why you make the claim, how are you supporting that, and any questions that you might have based on the resources here, the videos or the articles that you think would be of interest. And then, of course, your feedback is always really appreciated and important to us. So hopefully that is at 14:59. That is Swiss timing for you, my friends. But if you have any questions, I'll open the floor. Again, I'm happy to stay on to answer questions that you might have for about 10 minutes, and I can go through the Learn Worlds again if something's not clear, but I'm going to open the floor before we do our ritual to close up today's session. Tomorrow, we're doing future learning networks. We're going to look at digital literacy, digital fluency, and something that is going to change the way we search, the latest update that Google is deploying now that's really going to radically change how we can critically think with information that we get from the internet. And this is something that happened 2 weeks ago, and I think it will be a really good provocation as we consider digital fluency, digital literacy, information literacy in the context of educators and students in your school. So, open mics, any questions, comments? Somebody wants to do the shout. Some people find shouting helpful. I'm game, I'm open. Being a Quaker, I can live with silence too. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, yes.
I just wanted to ask, who is doing the pearl tomorrow?
Oh, sorry. Jonathan.
Jonathan. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And
thank you, Jonathan.
A shout out to Julia. I can't read your last name. Romero, is that right? Yeah. No, she had lots of knowledge that she was sharing out. And I missed the beginning where she introduced herself and her role, but loads and loads of knowledge. She's got lots to offer. So our group was really benefiting from her suggestions and ideas. So thank you.
Thank you. Learning partners, everybody give me a thumbs up. You know who your learning partner is? If you don't have a thumbs up, you should have a learning partner, and your learning partner in your home group, you work out a learning partner, ideally within the same time zone. Can we have a thumbs up again, just to make sure that now that I've clarified what the learning partner is? Okay, if you have not, please get your learning partner together today in your home group, because you will have to respond to your learning partner and they will be instrumental in your application task. Yes, Brian.
Hi, John. From reading somewhere, I was under the impression we could also have external learning partners.
I've never seen that anywhere, Brian. I love the idea of you checking in with external partners, but I think in addition to focus on the learning from in the course, I think it needs to be a learning partner from inside the course.
Okay.
You can find where I've written that. Will you let me know? That
Sure
wasn't.
will.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
And
So-
if we are, sorry to stop that.
Not at all.
If we are in a home group that has an uneven number of participants, do we have 2 learning partners?
Yes, some of the groups last time did. And so just figure out so it works for you. Some groups found that really helpful, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it seems that not only one person thinks that, but
Yeah.
so
I hope that
we're
we
going to
can
get
find that.
ChatGPT to scour all the policies and procedures of PTC and give it the prompt, our learning partner is allowed to come from outside. There we go. Anyway, Let's thank you, first of all, really every one of you in this room. Thank you so much. It's just always so nice to hear the sharing out and the generosity and the kindness that you give out in the breakout rooms and also through the comments and responses to each other. On that note, let's put our hands on the side, and on the count of three, we're going to say, go forth and lead. 1, 2, 3. Go forth and lead.
Have a great 24 hours.
Yes, lovely. We'll see you tomorrow for Future Learning Networks. I'm going to stay on. If there's anything, hang in there and we can chat, or I can support you in any way. Yeah. If not, have a great evening. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Awesome.
Thank you. Goodbye.
John, I had a question.
Yeah.
So